you doing all of the things that you dreamed you'd be doing when you were studying advertising or marketing at the university that you went to? Probably not. In fact, most advertising agency employees don't get to do anything like what they study for at least a couple of years. Your function is primarily to help get the agency's work through the company, to help make sure that the processes run well, to stay organized, to keep people around you in sync. That's hard enough, and it takes full-time attention just to get that right. But now is a great time. In fact, I would really encourage you to go back to school on your own. Not physically, not enroll in school and classrooms, but start reading, start paying attention to things that will help you become a much better professional down the road. Most university advertising programs simply don't spend enough time on the things and the ideas, the concepts, the theories, the imparting of knowledge that really help advertising professionals blossom later in their careers. That is something that you've got to do all by yourself. So the truth is, you've joined an industry whose business is influence. You are in the business of influence. We are, as ad agency practitioners, hired to sell the products and services of our clients. And that relies on our ability and our know-how and our knowledge around the art and science of persuasion. We're also in a highly self-congratulatory industry full of all sorts of awards programs and shows designed to show off our creative genius and our artistic talents and our writing ability and so on and so forth. But the truth is, none of that matters, nothing matters, except our ability to crank the wheel of capitalism and do so in a manner that benefits our clients. I happen to think that advertising is a very noble cause. Dan Wieden summed it up nicely when he said that advertising is creativity in service of capitalism. If you want to know just how tightly psychology and advertising and marketing are interwoven, all you need to do is go back to the beginning, which was essentially 100 years ago in terms of modern practice. You may have studied a guy named Edward Bernays in your advertising curriculum. You certainly should have. If you didn't, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him right now. He had a famous uncle. He was famous himself and frankly had probably a larger impact on society than his uncle did. But his uncle was Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology, psychoanalysis. His nephew, his American nephew, Edward Bernays, is essentially the father of modern propaganda and all of the tools, the significant tools used to influence and persuade people.
So Eddie began to formulate this idea that you had to look at things that would play to people's irrational emotions. And you see, that moved Eddie immediately into a different category from other people in his field and most government officials and managers of the day who thought if you just hit people with all this factual information, they would look at that and say, oh, of course.
And I'm going to play one more clip because, again, it gives you a little bit of context for where advertising has come really in the last 100 years. It should help you understand why it is so darned important for you as an advertising practitioner to really understand psychology and what motivates people, what doesn't motivate people, and so on and so forth. And what you'll hear in this discussion is the subject's interest in getting people to lean into their personal sense of identity. And see if you can guess what she's playing on to do that.
There's a psychology of dress. Have you ever thought about it? How it can express your character? You all have interesting characters, but some of them are all hidden. I wonder why you all want to dress always the same, with the same hats and the same coats. I'm sure all of you are interesting and have wonderful things about you, but looking at you on the street, you all look so much the same. And that's why I'm talking to you about the psychology of dress. Try and express yourselves better in your dress.
Okay, and so obviously the play was on emotion. It was on desire. It wasn't on need or something that is sustaining. It was on desire and emotion. And this final clip really summarizes the way Bernays capitalized on emotion as opposed to information.
Eddie Bernays saw the way to sell product was not to sell it to your intellect, that you ought to buy an automobile, but that you will feel better about it if you have this automobile. I think he originated that idea, that they weren't just purchasing something, but they were engaging themselves emotionally or personally in the product or service. That it's not, you think you need a new piece of clothing, but you'll feel better with the piece of clothing. That was his contribution in a very real sense. We see it all over the place today, but I think he originated the idea of the emotional connect to a product or service.
And so there you have it, the origin of your craft, the beginning, from whence you came as an advertising practitioner. And so again, I will say to you, you cannot study enough psychology. The only way that you can really understand how to appeal to people emotionally is by understanding what makes our minds tick. And that is a very difficult subject to grasp. So go to school on psychology. I'm going to publish a few of these videos on various topics related to that I think are particularly helpful, and I hope you watch them. Thanks.